Dr. Tamar Chansky, and today we're talking about how to help your child with negative thinking. Most parents have had the experience of picking up their child from school and they get in the car and it's like the dam breaks and they're talking about all the horrible things that they experience in a day. And what do we do as parents? We're kind of stuck in two places at once. One, we are upset that our child is so upset. And so as much as our compassion is there, we also feel like we just need it to stop. And we want our kids to think more positively. And we just, we might say, like, can you just tell me something good that happened? And of course, your child's not in that place yet. And so that does not go well. Some parents have that experience multiple times a day. Others of us, it might be more occasional. But I think the feeling of helplessness and frustration on the part of parents and on the part of our kids, very much a parallel process, is the same whether this is everyday life for you or is just something that you deal with from time to time, because as parents, we don't like it when our kids are unhappy. What we're going to talk about today is perhaps a different way of looking at negative thinking and what our role is with our children when they are feeling that way. And spoiler alert, it's not about helping them to be more positive in that moment. It's really about helping them to reconnect with themselves, to have more control so that they can then choose to look at the situation differently. But that I think about it as you have to first empathize with your child to get them to the table with you before they're going to kind of be willing to talk about anything else. And so really the first step in helping kids with negative thinking is to empathize with them. And really what we're talking about with negative thinking, we have these experiences ourselves, is when kids are, again, saying, everything was terrible today, or I hate myself, or I'm so stupid, amplifying, their thinking is amplifying the importance and distorting the meaning, perhaps, of an event. And importantly, it's really what happens with negative thinking and why it's a thing that we are talking about today is that it isn't specific. It doesn't stay local. It doesn't stay connected just with the thing that happened. It goes global. If a child got something wrong on a test or couldn't answer a teacher, it's not that, hey, mom, or dad, I had trouble answering that question, and actually the teacher gave me the answer and I got to learn, what the answer was to that question. That is not how it plays out. It's that, somebody gets something wrong and then the dominoes fall in their minds anyway. They feel stupid. They never do anything right. This always happens to them. They're never going to be able to fix it. And it's not just about that one thing they got wrong. They don't know anything. So empathizing with your child in that moment is not correcting them. Think about your own moments where you have felt that way. We all have. And you don't want someone to come in with a red pen and correct you about how you're feeling. You want them to understand. Say, oh my gosh, it sounds like this is really hard. I've been there. So how do we do that with kids? To say along the same lines, you're really upset right now. So I think about the empathy step as empathizing, but also helping kids to begin to get the idea that what's going on is temporary, without saying that in a way that will upset them, but to use the right now idea to say, it sounds like that was a really tough moment for you, or it feels like things just are really hard right now and feels like they're not going to change right now. So you are not challenging your child, you're understanding and kind of stepping into your own experience of what that's like to help them, but you're also making it clear by the way you're framing this, that you know that this is it's temporary, that this is what they're feeling right now. You might actually ask your child for more information about what they're feeling. I can see you're really upset. This really upset you, what happened in school. Can you tell me the part that upsets you the most? What's the part that feels the hardest right now? One, they may be surprised that you're asking for more information instead of trying to move them along, and that may be very helpful. That in and of itself may calm them down, but in any case, getting more information can be helpful. So step one, empathizing. Step two is to get specific. So as we were saying, we've lost the notion in negative thinking. This is just how we're wired, that the process that happens for us is not interested in the fine print of what went on. It's interested in our survival, and that means just quickly looking at this as an emergency. So we're going to help turn that around with our children to say to work on getting specific. So the supersized problem is everything's wrong. By asking them, can you tell me what, you ready to talk about what happened? What was the thing that started this? When did you start to feel that way? And think about putting that big problem into a smaller box, which is about the moment that was difficult for them. Once we've identified that clincher, it might be something that happened at school. It might be that they missed a catch in sports or a play. And so we've narrowed it down. Now we want to help them to have a different perspective about it. But again, it doesn't work by just making them. Think of yourself. You would not like that kind of help, but you may want to discover it on your own. And so you've narrowed it down with your child, what the situation was that is upsetting them, the specific part, and then you can ask them to think about, what, I can understand why that was upsetting to you. I'm just wondering if that happened to your friend, what do you think they should tell themselves about that? Or if you saw them getting really upset, what would you tell them to do? Be really mindful here that you're not trying to say to your child, why are you thinking that way? Because again, back to step one in empathy, we know why. This is just how we're wired. We go to that place, but we don't have to stay at that place of negative thinking. Another strategy that I've talked about in other places is the idea of the possibility panel. This is a strategy for helping kids to get perspective without you saying you should think about it differently. In a calmer moment, you can work on this with your child, or even in the heat of the moment, you could say, if it was a sports situation, to say, I know you're really upset about this right now. This was really tough when, that happened. I wonder what your hero, athlete, wonder if they have been in that kind of situation, and how did they cope with that? And what do you think they told themselves about it? You're absolutely on your child's side with this. The teaching moment is joining with them around their suffering so that they will walk with you somewhere else to have a different perspective. So if you do this in a calmer moment, you could ask your child to identify several people that they respect, that they would want to consult if they are feeling upset or stuck about something. And kids will choose fictional characters from movies, or friends, or teachers, celebrities, family members. And so you say, hey, they could draw that panel. I suggest this for adults too. Make little pictures or names, stick it on your computer. When you're stuck, think, what would so-and-so say? But your child can do that too, and come up with different ideas about how to, what that situation might look like from a different perspective. Just getting out of their own head about something will be really helpful to them. So then once you have done that, the next step, the fourth step, is to what I call mobilize, that you've empathized, you've relabeled, shrunk down the situation to the specific issue, help them to have different perspectives. You can ask them, which way do you want to look at this? What do you really believe? What do you think you'll believe tomorrow about it or next week? And really give them agency that this is how it works, that we do get to choose how we think about situations. We do get to choose our interpretations. So once they've done that, then you can ask them, is there something that you want to do now to work on that situation, to change it, to let it go, to go do something else? If it's about sports, it may be making a plan for how they want to practice in the future, or what they want to focus on in a game. And then another step 5, in general, big picture here, is that you can normalize this process for your child to explain that you feel this way too, kind of show them the seams of your life, that not in a very raw way, but to say, I've had days where I felt really disappointed about something, and this is, I got upset at first, and then I kind of thought about it. I asked a friend for advice, and later I realized it wasn't as bad as I thought, or I realized there are things I can do to make it better. When kids see their parents kind of showing that vulnerability in small, appropriate doses, it's kind of interesting to them, because otherwise they may think either that they think we're perfect, or they think that we think we're perfect. Obviously, perfect doesn't exist, but it can be really helpful to show the seams that way. And just in general, to remember that this is, I call it a table for two. If you're trying to help your child with more optimistic and less negative thinking, that is a project for you as well. We can all feel hopeless, frustrated about things that are hard, like helping our kids with thinking more optimistically. But again, we have to practice the strategies on ourselves. Remember that this moment, even this hard moment with our kids, is not an emergency. It's not the only time that we're going to have an opportunity to work on this, and to kind of look at the possibility for growth. That's really what we want our kids to do as well, to see whatever this moment was as, part of their process of getting better at things, improving, growing. So we need to extend that same leeway to ourselves in our parenting. So more ideas on my website, www.tamarchansky.com. And as always, thanks for listening today, and here's to less worry all around.